Hello and welcome to Stop Doing That, a show that talks about people and things that in one way or another have been told that it's time to stop. I'm Andrea, your host for this episode, pronouns she and her, and with me is
John.
The Industrial Revolution and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race. Hello, my name is Nick,
John.
and I am the author of the What Happened Here series, a series of books about terrible, awful things in history.
I don't know if you were talking about your own book series or if you just read into the notes on this episode and are therefore getting ahead of the story.
No, I just generally believe that the Industrial Revolution and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race.
Well, hold on to your hats because I am presuming that you're wearing multiple hats. Um,
Absolutely, yeah. I always do.
So, as we're going to be talking about, this is going to be a bit of a lighter one, unless you're my former boss, or
Oh
really
no.
like statistics, or deeply into right wing politics, in which case you will be seething mad.
Oh great. I'm looking forward to this.
Uh, we as a collective, we like the Robin Hood story. From the classic retelling to the Disney retelling, even to the Dukes of Hazard. We love watching, the underdog forest dwelling hero go riding through town, tweaking the nose of the corrupt law enforcers as they retreat off to do it all again next week.
Yeah, I agree with that. Do generally like those kinds of things quite a lot.
And there are also a number of real life figures who are very similar to this story, which I'm sure we will cover in their own episodes when we get to such a case. But as I promised last week, we are going for our first fully international episode. Though don't worry, we're not going too far. We will be going to Canada, and we're going to be discussing Robin de Rules. My French is terrible. I also bad at Spanish.
I think it might
Um,
be roulette, maybe.
Roulette. All right, yeah, we'll go with Roulette. Um, or Robins of the Alleys. We're a little light on sources for this episode, mostly because it's an ongoing thing. Um, we really only have sort of three known instances, and even one of them is just sort of tenuous. But Robin de Roulet is an activist organization that currently utilizes direct physical action to draw attention to corporate greed. They've done this by robbing grocery stores in large groups, stealing foodstuffs that can be easily carried and that will survive in hard conditions. Uh,
Okay.
I've, I've, I've chosen to cover them today because I wanted to do a little bit of a change up episode. Normally, we would talk about the people who sort of meet their fate, not those who are dispensing
Y- Yeah, generally we're talking about the people engaging in corporate greed, not so much people, fighting against it.
But in this, I came across a number of interesting events, some interesting historical parallels, and um, just some in general funny times. Um, our first incident comes on December 15th of last year, 2025, as sourced from the Montreal Gazette, which published this story on December 17th. At around 9:40 in the evening, a group of three Santas and approximately 40 assistants dressed lightly as elves stormed a grocery store in Montreal. Presumably, the Santas are some sort of squad level officer or NCO, bringing this to a platoon level deployment
Uh,
as they moved swiftly to raid about 3,000 Canadian dollars worth of groceries before scattering into the night.
I'm just thinking now about uh, my brother, who you worked with at a grocery store,
Oh
having
yeah.
to deal with this.
Oh, I mean, this is the entire reason why I said if you're my former boss, you're
Well,
going to be
yeah,
seething mad about this episode.
but I'm just thinking about
Um,
him having to watch just a group of elves with some Santas just raiding the fucking place.
oh no. I did include a link in in this episode in the episode notes. Yes, if you copy the link and open it, you will be able to watch a video of the incident as it was captured by as it was given to the Gazette.
I'm gonna pull that up right now. This sounds that sounds like quite a sight to behold. All right,
So
let's.
what?
Yeah, those are indeed Santa Clauses. Approximately three of them, and yeah, it looks like a very well organized, very calm operation. They're just kind of the elves are just kind of streaming in there, kind of picking just stuff up, and just yeah. I have to give him credit on I do like to see a well organized operation carried out quite thoroughly.
As a girl who cares about her logistics and her well executed operations, well done.
Indeed, yeah, very well, very
So
very well done.
it is noted that support elements from another activist group, les Souvenirs des Fleuves, the river's uprisings, was present at the scene to disperse leaflets and information about the Robins' activities as they made their escape. Um, there is some seeming connection between these two groups, and both will be coming up multiple times during this episode. The Robins have actively described themselves as people who have answered a call put out by the Souvenirs to quote reject the food production and distribution system and to take direct action. So it is likely that the Robins are a branch or an associated group with ties and likely some shared members between these two. Um, my the the correlation that I could come up with, it's a very bad allegory between the two, but it's kind of like the difference between the IRA and the provisional IRA.
For those not super well read on the troubles, what is the provisional IRA like?
So the IRA, the original Irish Republican during the Troubles were actually ones to lay down their arms and to go into political action. When this occurred, the provisional IRA or the Provos would rise up as a sort of splinter group um, to continue direct action in Northern Ireland. So
And by that, I guess you mean blowing people up.
yes, I
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
Now you can see why I'm saying this is a very bad allegory.
yeah. I can see what you mean. Yeah.
But it's clear in this, and it will be, it'll be noted in in one of the later incidents that these two groups are very closely tied together.
Okay. All right.
A portion of the food stolen by the Robins during this event was placed into Christmas gift bags beneath a public Christmas tree, and the remainder of it was supplied out to local food banks. Documentation was left with, sort of a manifesto was left with the food that was placed into the gift bags, and it's unstated whether the food was then confiscated by police or was actually claimed by those in the local area. As you saw in the videos, a lot of all of those people are wearing masks and clothing to like conceal their identities. So it's kind of unsurprising that no arrests have been made in connection to this.
Does kind of
Also,
make
if
does kind of make the use of a Santa outfit quite smart because that's definitely a very concealing kind of outfit.
it
Uh,
is.
I'm guessing the Santas are like the leaders of the operation, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I have to imagine they're like some sort of squad level, officer NCO to handle the operation.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but also like if
John.
you and I have consumed a fair amount of content. I've consumed a bunch of like missing 411 content. Um,
Oh yeah.
and we can both say that Canadian law enforcement just doesn't do their job very well.
I mean, really, most law enforcement doesn't. I mean, like,
This is true.
there's a joke I saw once that was like about serial killers, and it said that in the movies it's like, oh, you got all these wires connecting on the board, all these pictures trying to figure out who it is. In the real world, it's essentially the way they got away with it is their neighbor said their house smelled bad, and the police just didn't care.
Yeah. Um, so, as I mentioned, the Robins left documentation with the Christmas tree food, and it sort of outlines the reasoning behind their actions. In their own words, there's no other way to say it. A handful of companies are holding our vital needs hostage. They continue to oppress the population, to siphon off as much money as possible from them simply because they can. For us, that is the theft, and it's they who are the bandits.
I mean,
All very, very much a Robin Hood way to phrase
I mean, yeah.
it.
I mean,
And
they're
yeah,
right.
also,
They are
yeah, I was gonna say
right.
they're not wrong.
Yeah. It is kind of fucked up that we have to pay so much money for this thing that we objectively need in order to survive, in order to not perish.
Yeah, and that reasoning should sound familiar to a lot of us. Um,
Yeah.
economic pressures squeeze us all, and food prices rise, and they just don't come back down.
Yeah. It's just like with like medication, like with healthcare. They charge that much because they know that you don't have a choice. It's either you get the food or you die.
Some analysis was done by the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, and it shows that prices have nearly doubled since 2002. And we'll talk a bit more about the statistics of it all in a bit. Um, Shaitan Dave, a professor at the University of Alberta, puts it this way: governments are going to rise and fall within the next 5 to 8 years based on how they address food scarcity in general. It's also something that has obvious policy solutions that should have been done a generation ago.
But no, let's just elect the conservatives. They will make the food prices go down surely. Uh, by
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Let's not ask why I'm letting my gas tank get dangerously low.
yeah, yeah. Everyone knows that conservatives equal uh, low prices for everything. That's always the case. Just ignore the every price you see on the shelves at the gas stations right now.
Yeah, and corporations will look at us, the buying masses, and blame the supply chains, pandemic, war, etc., as an excuse and a way to just place higher prices on every item, while the manufacturers of said items blame the supply chain, the pandemic, the war, as a way to shrink packaging. Metro Inc., the owners of the store that was hit in the December 15th raid, made over $1 billion in profit last year on the backs of the needs of everyday Canadians. When I worked in grocery, we made $1 billion because everyone needs food, and my if I'd stayed with the company, the raise I would have gotten would have been a few cents when literally the state I lived in mandated a rise in the minimum wage.
Yeah, that sounds about right for the knowing this grocery store. That sounds about right.
Yeah. According to Statistics Canada, a government agency which tracks economic and societal demographics and statistics, grocery price data collected up through February, um, while at a slight drop from last year and not nearly as high as they were in COVID, like in the heights of COVID, it's still quite high. Um, as of right now, the Canadian dollar is at a lower value to the USD. Conversion rate puts it at roughly 72 cents to the American, 72 cents of an American dollar. But our prices remain fairly similar. I'm not gonna do full price conversion here and like calculate for conversion rates and things like that. Just so that we can keep the numbers straight and simple. Um, but we'll compare dollar to dollar American and Canadian prices. Um, we're using pricing data captured by the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics. So ground beef is a cornerstone of like economical cooking. Canadian, it's $16.46 per kilo, and the U.S. price puts it at $6.86, and with a kilo being about 2 pounds, that gives us a per kilo price of $13.72. Factor for that 72-cent conversion, and they're fairly equivalent. White rice, which is again one of those like really like budgetary items. Um, 2 kilos will run a Canadian about $9.84, and American statistics place the price for 4 pounds around $4.20 or $1.05 per pound. This last one's a little more tenuous. This is where I had to do the real fun math. White bread, Canadians can expect a price of about $3.62 for a 675-gram loaf, which is bigger than what we get here in the United States. Um, and yeah, we here in the United States get a 453-gram loaf. Um, and with a bit of multiplication and some fun, finicking around with decimals, that gives us an American price of $2.08.
I think I can see why you said statisticians were not going to be pleased with this episode. Maybe.
Oh yeah, no, I've just made a butchery of statistics.
Yeah, I mean, I bet. I mean, for someone who's not an expert in that sort of thing, it does make sense. I think.
So again, factoring for inflation and price fluctuations between like February and now, and the currency conversion, and that I may have done the math wrong. Canadians are in some cases paying more than they would in the United States. 72 cents, that 25-cent price difference on, dollar to dollar isn't much, but when you start stacking dollars on top of each other, it starts to add up.
Yeah, it's definitely
So
yeah,
that's my way of saying I may have completely fucked the statistics.
yeah. It's one of the unfortunate things about Canada is like Canada is not fucking cheap. I mean,
Yeah, especially especially as someone who is looking at places that are a bit friendlier to her continued existence.
Yeah,
It's like it's our closest friendly neighbor, but Jesus Christ, it's expensive.
it's also extremely hard to immigrate there,
Yeah,
unfortunately. Like
it's extremely hard to emigrate anyway.
I mean, yeah, but like, this is coming from someone who also has been looking around, to say the least, for countries that are a little bit less insane. Um, Generally, what I found is if you want to immigrate, your options are be very wealthy, be in a niche tech field, which actually might work out for you potentially, or marry someone. Those are base.
All three of which are kind of roadblocks for you, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah. I think my best bet is at this point just maybe means that are not entirely legal. Um,
I was going to say I would find a way to claim political asylum.
I'm genuinely am thinking in if things get particularly bad, uh, and thinking about the logistics of that sort of thing, like claiming
Yeah,
asylum.
that's the entire thing I'm bringing up in my next therapy appointment.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't get to that point, but you never. But we'll see.
Yeah. Um. So with all of this said, we're going to keep looking into the actions of the Robins, but right now we will gather our associates and swiftly liberate the groceries from the store at Conversation Corner.
Thank you for that, Andrea. Um, so I just had to quickly find something because I hadn't actually prepared anything to talk about this week for Conversation Corner. Best thing I could find was that the 4GT Mark IV, which came out about 10 years ago now, and it's like Ford's high-end supercar. It is now the third fastest car to ever go around the Nürburgring. Are you aware of what the Nürburgring is, Andrea?
Yes, I have. I shared you that video of funny cars going around the Nurburgring.
Yeah, yeah, I think I do remember that. Yeah, uh, yeah. That this is a track that I've been trying to learn on sim racing over the last like couple months or so. It is fucking hard because it is 12. I think it's 12.9 miles. It's like 177 corners, and all of those corners they come at you so quickly. I mean, it's like you are going down a straight at 180 miles per hour, and then there's like five very tight corners that just kind of appear. Um, but yeah, it's just like a lot of car companies that make supercars will take them around the Nurburgring to like say, look, we did it in like 6 minutes. Um, this particular car, the 4GT, did it in 6 minutes, 15 seconds, going around the Nordschleife, which is that's the one that I'm talking about right now. That's the particular configuration of the track.
If I may unlock my inner gender bent Jeremy Clarkson. So I can't even remember what stupid female name they at one point gave Jeremy.
I believe there was like a thing where, uh,
Yeah, I'm not even gonna go back down that road.
yeah,
But if I might unlock my inner Clarkson, well, what we need is that we need to Hammond. We need to just unlock greater uh road safety. We do not need speed limits. And we just need to be allowed to plow cars around every corner.
I'm trying to think of something that James May would say. I don't honestly know. I know James May
I
hates the Nürburgring. He hates that fucking place because what was it? He was reviewing an Aston Martin, and it was like everything he wanted, and then he took it out on the road, and the ride quality was terrible. And he blames it on the fact that that Aston Martin does a lot of testing at the Nürburgring, which in his mind ruins a car because it makes it all about handling and speed rather than comforts.
so I do have one other item so that we can wrap up the conversation corner. Um, this is some local news, or well, not local news, but some political news that is mildly funny. I don't know if you saw it because it did come out slightly earlier this month as of record. Well, actually, it came out last month as of recording. Um, Greg Phillips is the associate administrator for FEMA's Office of Response and Recovery. He is also a man who, on multiple occasions, has claimed that he has had the ability to teleport.
Oh yeah.
And in no way is this any other thing. It could not be alcoholism.
I want to see him do it. I want to go just tell him do it. Do it right now. Teleport over there.
In his own words, um, he says, "quote Onward, teleporting is no fun.
Ah,
God will not be mocked." And in a post on Truth Social, he said, "God will not be mocked. People can debate me, question me, even ridicule me. What do they understand? But here's the real question. What's harder to believe? That God could move in a moment during a spiritual battle, or Jesus Christ rose from the dead and is coming again? I know what I've experienced. I know who I serve."
it's not God though, is it? You're not serving God. You're serving a an alleged pedophile. That is what you were serving. Uh,
Well, no, no, because in fact, what he was serving, or in fact was being served, was food at Waffle House. He claims that he teleported 50 miles to the parking lot outside of a Waffle House.
did he happen to take some LSD before he did it?
Hang on, well, because I have his own words. I was with my boys one time, and I was telling them I was gonna go to Waffle House and get Waffle House. I ended up at a Waffle House. This was in like Georgia, and I ended up at a Waffle House like 50 miles away.
Th- This man had to have been on Joe Rogan when he said this, right?
It does state that he was on a podcast at the time.
Yeah, absolutely he
Um,
was. But just, oh my god.
uh, the sources of this article, or the writer of this article, tracked down one of the Waffle House that he supposedly visited, and the employees do not recall seeing him
Really?
there. They're going, yeah, he wasn't here. We don't know where he was, but he wasn't here.
He just teleported so quickly and got in and out so fast that they just didn't remember him. That has to be what it is.
It should be noted that in other instances of his discussion on his teleportation, um, Mr. Phillips has noted that on one instance he ended up with his car in the ditch of a Protestant church.
That sounds more like he maybe like he took some advice from Tiger Woods and decided to take a little
He,
bit of
he
a
had he had a little bit of a drinky,
yeah. Well,
got
no,
behind the wheel,
well,
and he
no,
teleported.
well, no. Tiger was not drinking. They actually proved that. No, instead
Oh
he was
yeah,
just
no,
on
that's right. He was on
painkillers.
drugs.
Yeah, he's just on drugs, which is so much better to be doing while you're driving. It's so much better than drinking. Oh
So,
God, Tiger. Ex-
with our bountiful haul of news, we shall now disappear into the night and return to our story.
By the way, I'd expect a Tiger Woods episode at some point on this show.
Oh, it's that's gonna be good.
Yeah. Anyways,
So
continue.
this is not the first major food theft incident in Canadian history. Um, in 1997, some nearly 800,000 people in Montreal lived on some form of assistance program, be it like unemployment insurance, food banks, things like that. And those resources were stretched very thin. So a group known as the Committee of the Unemployed, a volunteer activist group, decided that they would stage a very bold strike. They would interrupt a holiday known as Le Gigonnier. I believe that's my best French pronunciation of it. Um, it's a French holiday that has found some prominence in Canada and the United States, and it goes as far back as medieval times, not the restaurant. And it's a day about giving back, giving to charity, um, and the the Committee of the Unemployed, their stated goal was to deflate the operation's good conscience. For those marking the day with large events and supposed like these big charity events. They wanted to deflate that sense of like, oh, we're doing some
I guess the
good.
idea is the idea is somewhat like you shouldn't be doing good just one day a year. You should be doing it like year round. Is that am I getting it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Okay.
so December 3rd of 1997 would mark Lucky Gagné, and the group elected to strike the biggest target that they could. Um, they would interrupt the lunch buffet service at the Queen Elizabeth Hotel in Montreal. Um, so they would gather in a large group. Um, the sources I could find didn't mark an exact number, um, but a party from the Committee of the Unemployed marched into the dining room in the middle of lunch service, picked up the buffet table, the trays off the buffet tables, and walked out with
I
the
imagine
food trays.
I
Okay.
imagine I imagine the people inside, who I'm guessing were all probably like very wealthy, uh, very well to do, were just like, oh dear, the food. They have taken it.
Well, given how we know how the wealthy deal with the problem when the poor take things that they need. Um, and those food trays that were stolen um, were taken to the streets where a larger group of protesters from the committee had gathered to mark the event. And they gathered. The food was passed around. People ate, drank, and were merry. Until the Canadian police actually decided to do something about
Yeah, there's one thing. There's one. You see, this is how it works in the modern world. The rich can steal as much as they want, but if the poor do it, that's a very improper.
it. Yes. And like we said before, the Canadian police will act only insofar as when they want to. Um, the Montreal police riot squad arrived very swiftly and with police riot tactics arrested 108 for their involvement in the protest.
God Almighty! Like they're just eating food. You don't need riots control for that. Like my God.
Of the Le Gigonier raid, Marc-André Cyr, a professor at the University of Quebec in Montreal, said we were going after a high place of the Montreal bourgeoisie. It was to denounce the poor distribution of wealth, and that people are starving in the face of this hotel frequented by notables. So, as you can see, the subject of our story, they have a pedigree behind them to live up to in those who have come before, who have made their messages before.
I must say,
And
I must say, this is all just overwhelmingly French. Like,
yeah,
just extremely French.
I really do wish that more people would protest and riot like the actual French do.
Yeah, I can go with that.
Because if these were actually French, then when the police riot squad showed up to shut the the Le Gigonier raid down, then the firefighters would also showed up and started beating up the cops.
Yeah, probably something like that. Uh, we the world can learn a bit from the French as well as the Nepalese.
That being said, we will not actually learn French.
No, of course not. I mean, I know a little bit. I learned a bit in high school.
Yeah, and my rough understanding of Spanish is helping me just a little bit
Yeah.
here. So the Robins would mark their second strike on February 3rd of this year, 2026. Um, at 8:20 p.m., a group of about 60 would enter a Rochelle Beret health food store on Boulevard Saint Laurent, and um, beyond now that they were beyond the holiday season, the Robins would sport a more suitable fashion piece, a classic Robin Hood style green cap with a red feather. It's estimated that in the second strike they made off with about $6,000 worth of goods, but this was also a health food store, so like making off with a single pre-made sandwich would be like thousands of dollars worth of theft.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like
Um,
like we wonder why Americans are so fat, and and big part of it is because actual food costs way too much money.
yeah. Um, in all seriousness, a considerable amount of food, along with toiletries and other, life essentials, were stolen. And like before, a portion was placed into gift bags and marked with a sign, left in the open, while the remainder was donated to food banks in the area. Most notably, before leaving the store, a member of the Robbins crew would spray paint on the wall the message "Steal from a thief." Um, there is another claimed message, but the source I saw it from was kind of a little sketchy, and it was weird. Like like I said, I studied Spanish, not French, and it would be what we would consider Spanglish. As it was, the message was supposedly "fuck le prophets," which doesn't make sense. You wouldn't just combine French and English. You would. It's Canada. You know both. You would write it
Yeah.
in one or the other.
Yeah. Well, I do know actually there are a lot of people in Quebec who don't actually know any English. So I wonder if that might be maybe it's something like that. There's someone who like doesn't
Yeah, well, I mean,
speak
my
English
my
very
position
well.
there is that if If it was, well, I mean, if you don't know English but you do know French, I would suppose that you would then spray paint your message just in French.
I mean, yeah, but maybe the idea is something like I need to get the message out to more people, including those who speak English. I don't know English very well. I'll just kind of do
But
my best.
if I recall like the loose facts that I do know about like the Canadian educational system, I'm pretty sure they're required to know French.
Yeah, yeah, I'm pretty sure they are required. Because I know recently they had that what was it th- that plane ran into what was it like a
Oh,
truck of some
the
kind?
fire truck.
Yeah, he ran into a fire
Yeah,
truck, and the what was it, the Air Canada CEO, I think, had to like resign or was like got in huge trouble because he didn't deliver an apology of some kind in French. He only did it in English.
I don't know about that, but I could look into
It was
that.
something like that. I don't remember exactly.
Uh, Back to our story. We do note, we do see some of the other, the Robins are very tactical. You know, I joke about like this being a platoon level operation, but like the Robins acted very swiftly as they moved into this store that they actually neutralized the security cameras. You know,
Huh.
just spray painting over the lenses, but knocking out security measures so that they could not be tracked.
I wonder if they might have like insiders in these grocery stores. Maybe people that work there who are participating in this, and maybe telling them, "Hey, there's a camera here and there."
I
Um,
mean, you and I have both been in grocery stores a good amount. I The stores are they're never like actively concealing where the cameras are.
Not exactly. No, that is true, and certainly their employees are not really very well equipped to deal with people stealing shit.
Well, I will note, our explicit training said, do not engage.
Yeah,
They're not paying us to be heroes,
there was
especially not over, like a box of saltines and a pre-made sandwich.
I do know one time I was picking up my brother from there, and it was nights, and some guys stole a bunch of shit. They apparently did it in the car, like right next to me, and I just didn't notice. As they were loading them up, one of the employees ran out to like try to confront them, and the guy pulled a knife on him, and he ran back inside.
Yeah, that sounds like our locality.
Yeah, sounds about yeah. So I can see why you would say don't your life is not worth a couple things of bread or something.
Yeah, your life isn't worth it, and the company's insurance policy doesn't cover it in the slightest.
Absolutely, yeah.
That they're mostly just looking for you to not cause like a legal burden on the company for the fact that you got stabbed trying to, rescue a rotisserie chicken.
Yeah, exactly.
I will say the only time I have worked to actively stop a shoplifter was when that shoplifter was trying to effectively sell back my own goods as returns.
Yeah, I think I do remember you telling me about this at some point.
Yeah, yeah, that is the only time I've been like, no, I'm not dealing with your crap.
Yeah,
But
that's justified.
that's more in the line of they were making me look like a fool
Yeah,
and not
yeah,
that that I actually care about them shoplifting.
yeah.
Um, so of their actions on February 3rd, the Robins would release another statement. Um, when having two jobs is not enough to eat, have a roof over your head, and take care of your family, every means becomes legitimate.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I'm sorry, I can't disagree with that. I mean, when people have two jobs and they can't afford anything, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. And again, no arrests have been made. They the police could, have not been able to find anybody who could, be tracked down on this event. Um, and as I said, there was there's one final event that the ties to the Robins is kind of tenuous. Um, though I will say it does, if it is them, it is very Robin Hood themed. Um, as the Robins themselves would be acting to protect the Sherwood Forest, as it were. Or well, Mackinac. No, that's terrible French. Not to be confused with Mackinac, Michigan. Uh, to in a message disseminated by the Supermen Stiftuf. You'll remember them from before. They're sort of our overall more political organization.
Yeah.
Uh, that in a bid to prevent logging in an old growth forest, steel bars had been driven through a number of the trees on the logging sites. Um, It is claimed that this tactic was done in such a way that it would not harm the growth of the trees. I have my doubts about letting a steel bar rust inside of a tree
Yeah, that would
and
like
being entirely healthy for the wood,
yeah,
but I'm neither an environmental scholar nor an arborist, so I don't really know.
yeah, it sounds like it would kill the tree. Like just or at the very least it wouldn't be good. At least not certainly not for the any creatures trying to trying to live out of it.
Yeah. Um, though it is noted that this tactic has been used for quite a long time. This is not, a new direct action tactic.
I guess you could argue it's sort of a lesser of two evils. Like, yeah, maybe the bar is not great for the tree, but it's better than the tree getting knocked down, completely.
Yeah. It is noted that whichever actual, like direct action organization did this, made this strike, um, they did post safety warnings on the site, with direct statements saying that, like, look, some of these trees have been embedded with steel fragments. Use them at cut these trees at your own risk. This will kill both men and machines if you attempt to do this, if you attempt to saw through it. Um, and noting that, like, no further, like, work should be done on the site, and no tree should be cut down without first, like, inspecting it with a metal detector. Again, this would be put out. This All the statements on this would be put out by the Supermenstiftiv. They are the broader organization, and they are opposing both corporate and government interests in the St. Lawrence River Valley. They've been opposing, like, housing developments, industrial developments, just wanting to keep the river natural. Um, no actual activist group has taken credit for this. Um, and as I said, the ties to the Robins are tenuous. This is mostly associated with them because they are the group that's actually conducting direct action in this area. Um,
Okay.
there's Yeah, it's not unthinkable that it was them, but I would say that it is rather outside their normal urban operation area. So I hesitate to directly state that they are the perpetrators of this.
They certainly probably wouldn't condemn it, I don't think. They would probably be
Yes.
very on board with this.
I did take a look. I'm not going to quote any of them here so that these people who espouse their beliefs cannot be tracked down, cannot be harassed over what they've said. Um, I did take a look at like some of the Facebook comments and things like that. I know. I went into Facebook. Um,
Yeah.
luckily, one of the few social media platforms that still allows you to like browse certain pieces of content without needing an account.
Yeah.
But there's a very mixed bag of responses to this, to the actions of the Robins. You know, a number of people saying, like, hey, that's good. Taking direct action and sticking it to these greedy corporations. And you also have a number of people who are like, wow, these lazy kids just need to get a job. Why don't they get a job?
Yeah, so lazy it is putting a big rod through a tree. Very lazy activity.
Yeah,
And that's
as things go, I don't see I don't see either side particularly shifting their positions. You know,
yeah, one would consider the idea of nature existing to be very unprofitable. We could very easily turn that into like a data center, whereas the other is like,
we could even build two in the heart of Chicago as
or
towers.
or seven, or we can build seven within the redacted area that I live in anyway.
Yes, but I mean more in general of like these grocery store raids. I don't see people shifting their stances either way.
Yeah.
Some people will always decry this as lazy theft, even if like the group who did the stealing didn't at least to their claims did not keep what they stole and instead gave it away.
Yeah.
So this is really all we have on the Robins. We have two declared acts, one suspected involvement. Um, but every single time we see that their actions, that by their methods, they are trying to tell corporations that it is time to stop.
Indeed, it
Um,
is. It is time for them to stop doing that.
I for one, I'm going to keep monitoring the news. Um, we have the conversation corner, so if they do strike again, we will know and we will discuss it. Um,
Absolutely.
so
John.
any final thoughts on this episode?
Well, I hope they can. I hope these guys continue getting people the food that they need. Um, I can agree that it's unfortunate that they have to resort to these measures, but there's a reason why they have to. Um, as far as what we can expect from our next episode, which I will be taking over again, I already told you it's going to be about a particular aircraft. Um, Andrea, you speculated the L1011. Uh,
Yes, I did.
it will appear. It will appear in
Oh
that
no.
episode. It's not the focus of the episode though, but it will show up. Don't you worry about that.
Okay.
So it's about a similar aircraft, um, which had a it had a tendency to kill every single person on board that got on board it. And that's what you'll
Well,
be.
I think in the last time I made the guess that we're not talking about the 737 Max program.
We're not. We are not talking about the 737 Max. We're talking about, I guess, what you could almost call its call the 737 MAX of the 1970s and 1980s.
Fun.
Yeah.
Well, now that you've got me completely stumped, I look forward to our next episode.
Yep. I've been
John.
And I'm Andrea, and we'll catch you next time on Stop Doing That.